Hi everyone, I'm going to be talking about deep learning molecular 3D reconstruction to combat SPECT deficiencies. So with SPECT imaging, with nuclear medicine, we can assess, analyze, evaluate the organs, tissues, and the bones within the human body, the physiology part. Some of these include lung, kidney, thyroid, brain, as well as investigating cancer. So typically the process a patient would undergo during a SPECT CT scan. First, they would be injected with a radioactive substance, also known as nuclear medicine, and then they would be put into this donut-shaped machine, and the SPECT CT scanner would rotate 360 degrees around the patient, with the SPECT scanner having sensor detectors that are able to pick up the gamma rays that are part of the nuclear medicine. And so what happens is with the SPECT side, we're able to analyze the physiology, the functions of organs and tissues. On the CT side, we're able to analyze the bone structure, the structure of the particular area. And so we combine those and we get a nice SPECT CT scan to help radiologists. Now, breaking that down a bit more, we have the SPECT scanner that can be positioned at one particular angle and then capture a whole bunch of projection data or detect a whole bunch of detect the gamma rays, the gamma photons to help a radiologist analyze the physiology and diseases at a particular area of a patient, as well as the SPECT scanner can rotate at 4 different angles, let's say, to capture projection data for that particular area of the patient. And so what we find is that when we do one angle scanning, we have a SPECT image resulting in high noise, low resolution, whereas as we increase the angles for that particular area, we have a SPECT image that has higher resolution and lower noise. So one of the problems with this approach, though, is it can take a lot of time to do SPECT CT scanning. And so what we're doing is researching into deep learning approaches that can learn the mapping between these two. So then we can still use SPECT CT scanner for one angle, but then train a model on the mapping of these two. So then when we deploy the model, we're only deploying it on one angled SPECT scanning, but then what it's doing is it's reconstructing that kind of SPECT image quality that we would get if we would do 4 angled scanning, saving time. One of the other problems, though, aside from time, is the access to publicly available data sets is very low. I looked at over 13 publications on SPECT reconstruction and found that only 5 used real human and animal SPECT data sets, while the rest used software phantoms. And already these data sets are hard to access. The software phantoms, one of the hardships with that is they usually cost money. And so the other problem, though, that we see here is the standard dose that's injected into the patient could actually be harmful to them. So what they're using deep learning for as well is to train models on learning the mapping between low dose and standard dose for the SPECT image result. In the standard dose, we typically will have a high quality defect size that is produced from the SPECT images, whereas with the lower dose, we'd have a SPECT image that has lower quality defect size. And so when we train a model to be able to predict what a standard dose SPECT image quality would be, we can train multiple models on different levels of doses for the nuclear medicine. And then do a prediction on what that standard dose image quality would have looked like and generate the appropriate defect size. So first I'll talk about SSTrans and how that's a model that's been used for learning to map between 1 angled SPECT scanning to 4 angled SPECT scanning, and how we can save time by deploying this particular model. So the person who designed and implemented this architecture, which I'm researching on, leverages the recurrent neural network that helps with tracking the time as we're gathering the projection data from the SPECT scanning. And it also leverages convolutional neural networks, which is really good at analyzing, extracting features from the images and understanding the features of the images. In their particular outcome, what they found was the results in the multi-angle reconstructions in the SPECT images were higher image resolution. Uh, for the patients who had abnormalities, the larger defect size did show up. And then for patients with normal patients had smaller defect sizes. In the case of GAN, there was a research group, Olia et al., who utilized this architecture, the generator, to predict the mapping between low dose levels of nuclear medicine to the standard dose level. So the goal again was if a patient is given a low dose level, we can run it through the GAN architecture, and then it would be able to predict a reconstructed high quality image as if the patient got injected with the standard dose. And the GAN's discriminator part, though, actually will evaluate that predicted reconstructed image and determine if it's real or fake. And then in this particular case, we're looking at the future research. So there's still a lot of organs that we can go investigate, and we can improve image quality with deep learning reconstruction for bone scans, for heart scans, as well as the other images. We can use GANs to generate realistic SPECT image data sets. We can also further test SSTrans ability to reconstruct high quality SPECT images with lower nuclear medicine doses. And we can leverage both of these neural network architectures to help nuclear medicine specialists detect and evaluate organ and tissue functions to identify disease. Thank you.